Imagine you pay for a ticket to this, like, massive blockbuster epic movie. The lights go down, the orchestral music swells up, the sea is dramatically parted right in half, and mountains are wreathed in heavenly fire.
Oh, yeah, just breathtaking stuff.
Right, totally breathtaking. But then, right in the middle of the story, the epic action just abruptly halts. The screen goes completely static, and for the next 45 minutes, you are forced to stare at an ancient, meticulously detailed accounting spreadsheet.
Sounds like a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to Numbers chapter 7.
Yeah.
But before we unpack the hidden genius of this ancient ledger, I really want to take a moment to look right at you, our listener, and offer a truly divine welcome.
Absolutely.
I genuinely want to wish that your day, and honestly your entire week, be truly deeply blessed.
It's so good to have you all here because, well, it is quite the transition to go from roaring seas to ancient administrative logs.
Oh, it really is.
To the casual reader, hitting Numbers chapter 7 can feel a bit like, I don't know, hitting a brick wall of raw data. It's just endless lists, specific weights, and these really repetitive inventories.
And that is exactly our mission for today's deep dive. We are taking a magnifying glass to this massive chapter, and we're being guided by the historical and theological insights from the Holman and NAA study Bibles.
Right, which are super helpful here.
Yeah, they really are. Our goal is to show that this text is, well, it's far from dry data. Hidden inside these meticulous lists of ancient Israel's tabernacle dedication is some fascinating logistical genius.
Oh, absolutely.
Plus a profound commentary on equality and this incredibly intimate spiritual climax that honestly only makes sense after you understand the math.
Yeah, the math is key. But to really understand what is happening here, we have to start with a rather jarring chronological surprise.
Wait, a surprise in the timeline?
Yeah. The NAA Study Bible Notes point out something that completely reorients your perspective on the whole book of Numbers. Because when you read a text sequentially, you just naturally assume that chapter 7 takes place after the events of chapters 1 through 6.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is usually how a narrative flows. Event A happens, then event B.
Except here, it doesn't. The NAA notes explain that the events we read about in Numbers 7 actually take place a full month before the events described in the first 6 chapters.
Wait, really? So we are dealing with a massive flashback.
A highly specific one, yeah. Because the first 6 chapters are heavily focused on taking a census, organizing the sprawling camp of the nomadic Israelites, and, establishing a military structure.
Getting everyone in line.
Right. But chapter 7 yanks the timeline all the way back to day 1 of the first month of the second year after they left Egypt.
Oh, wow.
It drops us into the exact day Moses finishes setting up the tabernacle. He anoints the tent, he consecrates the altar, and the construction phase is officially over.
Okay, so picture this scene with me. The dust is still settling. The scent of that anointing oil is probably still heavy in the desert air.
Definitely.
Moses steps back from this massive, intricate structure and finally exhales. But there is a glaring, immediate problem.
And it's a big one.
They are a nomadic people in the middle of a harsh wilderness. You can't just build a magnificent sacred structure, plant it in the sand, and leave it there forever.
Right, because when the cloud moves, you have to pack the entire thing up and take it with you.
Exactly. So the narrative pivots straight from this profound spiritual consecration into hardcore, boots-on-the-ground resource management.
And this is where the leaders of the tribes step in. These are the heads of the ancestral houses, the guys who oversaw that massive census we talked about.
Right, the leadership.
Yeah. And they look at this sprawling complex of heavy wood, thick curtains, solid metal, and they instantly recognize the logistical nightmare of moving it.
I mean, I hate moving apartments. I can't imagine moving a tabernacle.
Exactly. So their very first offering isn't a purely ceremonial gift at all. It's highly practical. They bring 6 covered wagons and 12 oxen. 2 oxen per wagon.
They essentially pool their resources to buy an ancient fleet of moving trucks.
That's exactly what it is. And Moses accepts this offering, and he turns around to distribute these wagons and oxen to the Levites.
Because the Levites are the specific tribe designated for the care, maintenance, and transportation of the tabernacle.
Right. But he doesn't just divide the fleet equally among the Levi clans. He allocates them based on highly specialized duties.
Okay, let's look at the breakdown here, because on the surface, the math seems totally unbalanced.
It really does.
There are 3 main families of Levites handling this move: the Gershonites, the Merarites, and the Kohathites. Moses takes his fleet of 6 wagons. He gives 2 wagons and 4 oxen to the Gershonites.
And that allocation directly corresponds to their specific burden. The Gershonites were responsible for transporting the tabernacle's curtains, the woven coverings, the tent screens.
The cords, all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. These materials were bulky and awkward to carry across the desert, but they weren't overwhelmingly dense or heavy. So 2 wagons were sufficient.
Okay, that makes sense. Then Moses turns to the Merarites. They are working under the direction of Ithmar. Moses gives them 4 wagons and 8 oxen.
Which is double the transportation capacity.
Right. Why double?
Well, the NWA notes explain the stark practical reality behind that decision. The Merarites were the heavy lifters of the entire operation.
Oh, they had the actual structure.
Exactly. Their assignment was to transport the solid wooden frames, the massive crossbars, the pillars, and the really heavy metal bases that anchored the whole thing to the ground.
Oh, yeah. That kind of sheer weight required double the hauling power, for sure.
You couldn't do it otherwise.
So the Gershonites get 2 wagons. The Merarites get 4. The entire fleet of 6 is now completely spoken for, which means Moses turns to the 3rd clan, the Kohathites.
It hands them absolutely nothing.
0 wagons. 0 oxen. I mean, if I am a Kohathite staring at this distribution, I'm thinking this is a terrible deal.
It looks awful.
We are supposed to be part of the exact same moving operation, but 2 teams get heavy machinery and we are told to start walking.
It seems like a glaring administrative oversight, right? Until you examine what the Kohathites were actually tasked with moving.
Okay, what did they have?
Well, they weren't given carts because of the specific nature of their cargo. Their responsibility was the most sacred, holy items in the entire tabernacle. They moved the Ark of the Covenant, the golden lampstand, the holy table.
Wow. So these are the items that were strictly off limits to casual handling.
Exactly. The holiest artifacts of their faith. These items were actually designed with integrated carrying poles.
Oh, so they were meant to be carried.
Right. The Kohathites had to transport these sacred objects directly on their own shoulders. In this ancient context, true holiness just could not be relegated to an ox cart.
Because it demanded human reverence.
Yes, it required a physical, personal burden.
You know, that reframes the whole situation completely. It's not a snub or an unfair labor practice. The Kohathites are essentially operating as an ancient bomb squad.
A bomb squad, I like that.
Well, think about it. If you are transporting something highly volatile, sensitive, and infinitely valuable, you don't just toss it in the back of a wagon where it's going to bounce over desert rocks.
You definitely don't.
You carry it yourself because you need to feel every step. You need to absorb the shock with your own body.
It really is a stunning fusion of raw practicality for the heavy structural elements and profound theological symbolism for the sacred center.
The heavy wood gets the wheels.
And the holy presence gets the human shoulder.
That is so cool. So with the transportation logistics solved, the chapter transitions into the actual dedication of the altar.
Right, the big festival.
Yeah, this takes the form of a massive 12-day festival. But here is where the text introduces a structural choice that tends to absolutely baffle modern readers.
Oh, the repetition.
It repeats itself in agonizing word-for-word detail.
It really does. So over the course of 12 consecutive days, 1 leader per tribe steps forward to present an offering for the altar's dedication.
Day 1 starts with Nahshon, from the tribe of Judah. Let's look closely at the inventory he brings just to grasp the sheer weight of this.
That's a lot.
He presents 1 silver plate weighing 130 shekels, which is roughly 1.5 kilograms of solid silver.
Just for the plate.
Right. Then he brings 1 silver basin weighing 70 shekels, about 840 grams. Both the plate and the basin are filled with fine flour mixed with oil.
And there's more.
Then he adds a gold dish weighing 10 shekels, around 120 grams filled with incense.
Which is just a substantial accumulation of precious metals.
Right.
And that is before we even factor in the livestock.
The livestock list is extensive. 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 1 male lamb for a burnt offering. A male goat for a sin offering.
Okay.
And finally, for the sacrifice of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 male lambs.
So that is 21 animals in total.
Brought by 1 leader on day 1.
It sets a very high bar for generosity.
But then we roll into day 2. Nathanael from the tribe of Issachar steps up to the altar. And his offering is, wait for it, 1 silver plate weighing 130 shekels, 1 silver basin weighing 70 shekels, 1 gold dish of 10 shekels, and the exact same 21 animals.
And then day 3 arrives. The exact same inventory.
Day 4. Identical.
Over and over.
This is where my brain starts demanding a shortcut. If 12 different leaders brought the exact same heavy metal plates and the identical roster of 21 animals, Why didn't the scribe just document the list
We
once?
draw a line under it, right?
Yeah, draw a line and write multiply by 12. In an era where writing materials were incredibly expensive and labor-intensive to produce, why consume so much scroll space repeating an identical list 12 separate times?
From a modern data entry perspective, it seems terribly inefficient, like a total waste of space.
Exactly.
But the Holman Spedy Bible notes point out that this repetition is actually the central point of the entire passage. It isn't a failure of editing at all.
Oh, so it's intentional.
Deeply intentional. It is a profound theological statement. We have to consider the socio-political context of the ancient Near East here.
Okay, set the scene for us.
In surrounding cultures, like Egypt or Mesopotamia, tribute lists were inherently hierarchical. A king or a deity would receive vastly different amounts of wealth based on a tribe's favor, their wealth, or their political leverage.
Ah, so the biggest gift bought the most influence.
Exactly. So if this were a typical ancient text, Judah might bring 500 shekels of silver to prove they are the dominant tribe.
And then a smaller tribe might only scrape together 20 shekels, so the ledger would basically be a map of political power.
Exactly, it would show who was in charge. But here, the ledger is perfectly flat. By writing out the full, unedited list for every single tribe, the text makes a radical claim about equality.
Nobody gets shortchanged.
Right, no tribe's devotion is abbreviated, no one gets relegated to a footnote or a simple ditto mark. It establishes that every single tribe is equally committed to supporting this tabernacle.
And they all share the exact same status in their religious practice.
And their communion with the divine, yeah. It is a really striking picture of egalitarian unity among a newly formed, formerly enslaved people.
I mean, the sheer volume of material moving into the camp over these 12 days is staggering.
It's massive.
By the time the 12th leader finishes, we are looking at 12 massive silver plates, 12 silver basins, and 12 gold dishes. That equates to roughly 28.8 kilograms of silver and 1.4 kilograms of solid gold.
That's a serious treasury.
Plus an influx of over 200 animals.
Now, the NWA notes actually offer an important point of clarification regarding those animals, because the imagery here might suggest a chaotic, massive slaughter of 200 animals all at once.
Yeah, that sounds like a mess.
But that was not the function of this offering. These animals were collected over the 12-day festival and kept alive to supply the regular ongoing sacrifices for the tabernacle.
Oh, so they were stocking the fridge, basically.
Yeah, the leaders were essentially establishing the necessary supply chain for the future.
Okay, let's talk about the specific mechanics of those sacrifices. We know who brought them, and we know the quantities, but why this particular combination of animals?
Well, the Holman notes highlight a very rigid, unvarying theological sequence in the types of sacrifices offered here.
There's an order to it.
Right. There is a deliberate progression that maps out exactly how a community approaches the divine.
Okay, the sequence starts with the burnt offering for every tribe. A bull, a ram, and a lamb.
Yeah. The burnt offering functions primarily as an act of consecration. In this ritual, the entire animal is consumed on the altar.
So there's nothing held back at all.
Exactly. It serves as a physical metaphor for complete surrender and sanctification. It's the community giving themselves entirely over to God's purpose, holding nothing in reserve.
Okay, so following that complete surrender, they bring a male goat for a sin offering.
Because consecration doesn't just magically erase human frailty. Once the community is dedicated, they immediately have to address the reality of their own flaws.
We all make mistakes.
Right. The sin offering provides a mechanism for purifying a broken relationship. It is an acknowledgement that people will inevitably miss the mark, and it offers a pathway for cleansing that impurity.
So they can safely remain in the presence of something entirely holy.
Yes. And that naturally leads into the final and largest category of animals. The oxen, rams, goats, and lambs, designated for the peace offering.
And the peace offering changes the dynamic entirely, right?
Completely. Unlike the burnt offering, the worshiper actually eats a portion of the meat from the peace offering.
Oh, so it's a meal.
It is. It functions as a shared communal meal between the people, the priests, and God. It is a celebration of fellowship, representing a restored, joyful, and harmonious relationship.
So the mechanics of the ritual dictate a clear three-step pathway. You establish complete dedication, you address and cleanse the inevitable failures, and only then do you sit down for the communal feast.
You got it.
You can't just skip the hard work of purification and jump straight to the celebration.
That progression is foundational. But, equally revealing is what the study notes point out is entirely missing from this vast inventory of sacrifices.
Yeah, I was actually trying to map this 12-day festival onto the broader sacrificial system we see elsewhere in these texts, and there is a glaring omission.
What did you notice?
Well, if they brought all these animals for consecration, sin, and peace, where is the restitution offering?
Ah, right.
Like if someone in the camp stole their neighbor's property or caused some sort of civil damages, wouldn't a massive religious festival be the exact perfect time to settle those accounts and make things right?
I mean, it seems like the logical time for it. But the restitution offering, which deals with specific individual wrongs where a person pays back damages plus a penalty, is completely absent here.
Why is that?
The reason is rooted in the specific nature of this event. The dedication of the tabernacle is just not the venue for settling individual civil disputes or neighborhood grievances.
It's too big for that.
Right. This is a moment of pure national unity and community consecration. It is about establishing the baseline of the relationship between the entire people and God, rather than focusing on interpersonal friction.
Okay, so the focus remains entirely macro. So let's step back and look at the picture we've painted so far.
Let's do it.
We have spent this deep dive analyzing massive, sprawling logistics. We have dozens of heavy wooden carts rolling through the desert dust. We have blinding sunlight reflecting off nearly 30 kilograms of polished silver and gold.
A huge undertaking.
We have the sheer noise of hundreds of animals and the bustle of a 12-day public festival. It is the absolute pinnacle of ancient public infrastructure, loud and visible to everyone.
A truly monumental display of collective effort and wealth.
But then we hit the very last verse of this incredibly long, repetitive chapter, verse 89, and the narrative camera just dramatically shifts.
The contrast is honestly stunning.
All of the carts, the heavy lifting, the meticulous ledgers, and the massive public festival, it seems they exist solely to facilitate one incredibly quiet, hidden moment.
Yeah, verse 89 states that Moses enters the tent of meeting alone.
Alone.
And there, in the dim light, he hears the voice speaking to him from above the mercy seat, the propitiatory cover resting on the ark of the testimony, right between the two golden cherubim.
We move instantly from the deafening noise of thousands of people outside to a single man in a quiet room.
It's profound. The study notes emphasize that this verse is the direct fulfillment of a specific promise made way back in Exodus chapter 25, verse 22.
What did the promise say?
God told Moses, "There I will meet with you, and from above the mercy seat, from between the two cherubim, I will deliver to you all my commands."
Wow. So the entire 12-day operation was basically the proof of concept. They built the structure, they organized the transport, they unified the tribes in equal devotion, and the mechanism actually works.
The connection is forged.
That's amazing.
It also throws the immense weight of Moses' unique responsibility into sharp relief. The NWA notes discuss how Moses serves as this singular conduit here. The 12 tribes are out in the sun, providing the physical infrastructure, the wagons, the silver, the livestock. But Moses is inside the tent, bearing the internal weight of receiving divine direction.
The public spectacle outside was the necessary prerequisite for the intimate revelation inside. I mean, you cannot achieve the quiet connection of verse 89 without the relentless, sweaty logistics of the 88 verses that came before it.
No, you really can't.
You don't get the whisper between the cherubim if someone doesn't haul the heavy wooden frames across the sand.
Exactly. The external community effort creates the space for the internal personal communion.
Well, let's trace the path we've taken through this chapter today. We started in the dust, figuring out how to assign moving wagons in a harsh environment.
Realizing that heavy burdens require practical solutions.
Then we decoded the seemingly endless, repetitive spreadsheet of tribal offerings.
And discovering that it wasn't a failure of editing, but a radical, ancient declaration of equality and unified devotion.
Right. And then we examined the deliberate mechanics of the sacrifices, moving from complete consecration through purification, ultimately arriving at communal fellowship.
The feast.
Yeah, the feast.
Right.
And it all funneled down into the quiet intimacy of Moses standing alone in the tent, listening to the voice.
A beautiful progression.
As we close out this deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought that connects this ancient desert camp to how we operate today. We live in an era obsessed with outsourcing.
Oh, we outsource everything.
We really do. We outsource our heavy lifting to machines, our memory to our phones, and often we try to outsource our sense of community or spiritual obligation to institutions. We want the benefits of the festival without carrying the weight.
Right.
But look at the two most critical moments in this chapter. The Kohathites could not put the ark on a cart. They had to feel the wood on their own shoulders. And Moses could not stand out in the crowd and have a proxy deliver the message. He had to step into the quiet tent himself.
He had to do it.
The massive infrastructure was necessary, but the ultimate connection required a profoundly personal burden. It suggests that the heaviest, most sacred elements of our lives, our deepest values, our core connections, are the very things that simply cannot be outsourced. You have to carry them yourself.
That is a stark reminder that machinery and ledgers can only take us so far.
Thank you for joining us as we unpacked the hidden depths of ancient logistics, equal ledgers, and quiet tents. God bless us all, the listeners.